Florida is currently in phase one of reopening after being shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic. This includes partial reopenings of restaurants, retail stores, barbers, and salons. Now, Miami-Dade County is excluded from phase one, and so is Broward County, which includes Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood, just north of Miami. The mayor of Broward, Dale V.C. Holness, is here with us now to discuss Florida's reopening. Mayor, thank you so much for taking the time here on the day. Let's dive right in here. Absolutely. How is your county doing in terms of encouraging social distancing at this time?
I think we've been pretty successful with that. People are actually enforcing the community. Each person is telling others they must adhere to the social distancing, to wear the mask when they go into stores. And I believe that's what helped us to get to where we are today, where we see a downward trend continually in new infections.
And so, what is the target date to reopening Broward County?
So we'll have a conversation with all the mayors of Broward County this evening at 3 o'clock. Based on that, we'll make a decision. It is likely that we're going to track with Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, Miami, Broward, and Monroe County. We're working together. Palm Beach decided to go ahead of us. We are one region. If you drive through South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, you won't know when you leave one area from the other. So we are very intertwined commercially.
And so, do you have any concerns about opening up too early? And what have those discussions centered around in terms of tracking what the key performance indicators might be as to when you are reopening? How do you ensure that you're not just developing another hotspot or localized outbreak?
So, well, the criteria that were set by the CDC through the federal government, we meet four of the five criteria. The one that we weren't very comfortable with was testing. And we are on the way right now with testing more than we have had done before. We are working to get antibody testing up this week. Hopefully we can get that done so long as we get some tests from the governor of the state of Florida, which is pledged to us about 5,000 tests. We're looking to seek to get source other tests also, so we can do that to identify those who may have already have it. But that test also determine if you're currently active with the virus.
And what are you learning from the other municipalities that have already reopened? Are there any findings that they're able to share at this time?
Well, one of the things that we want to make sure we do is we keep practicing what we have done before to get us here. And that is the social distancing, reducing capacity of establishment that we're allowed to open as essential services, also wearing masks, and following the hygienic protocols that the CDC has set forth for us. We don't want to open and then have to close again. That would be disastrous for businesses. We want to make sure when we open, we do it in a phased way. And that is the consensus of the mayors of Broward County. There are 31 municipalities in Broward County, and we've had on the phone over the past week at least 28 of those in conference calls. Or final conference call will be this evening at 3 o'clock. And from that, I'm sure we'll get the consensus as to what we need to do. The sentiment has been that we ought to open, but we ought to do it in a phased way, and we ought to ensure that we have the right protocols in place to allow these businesses to open.
What recommendations do you have for businesses and citizens to take precautions as those businesses reopen? Because I imagine for some of them that have been closed, they're going to be looking to get the most customers or interaction with the most customers possible to make up for the weeks that they have been closed. And so that could actually present a pretty sticky scenario in terms of the number of people that are coming in contact with one local business.
So my advice to them is follow the protocols that we're setting forth. Ensure that there's distancing in the business. Don't get greedy, because if you do, you may have to be closed down again, and that's not what you want to see happen.
What would be the determining factor in telling a business that they need to close down once again?
If we, one, see that they're not observing the protocols that we've set forth. Two, if we see a huge spike again in infection rate, and if it gets to the point where we see that it's going to be disastrous for us in our hospitals, not being able to meet the medical responses that we'll need to deal with the virus.
As previously unemployed Floridians head back to work, hundreds of thousands of people are waiting on the Florida Department of Economy and Opportunity to process their unemployment claims. Now, starting today, people filing for unemployment will have to report the number of weeks that they need benefits. Can you expand upon this a little bit more for us?
Well, unfortunately, the system that we have was not built to deal with such a large number of people. Secondly, was not well maintained. In fact, the governor is actually looking to investigate what happened with the funds that they spent to build the system. What I'd say to folks is keep trying to get your checks, try to get your employment, and don't give up on it, because the system ought to be fixed, and I think that they're making every effort to do so now.
All right, Broward County Mayor Dale V.C. Holness, thank you so much for taking the time here with us today. We really do appreciate it.